Welcome to the Gender Sensitization Lab. In this session, we will explore the concept of gender and how it differs from sex. We'll look at how gender roles are formed, how society influences them, and how stereotypes affect individuals. By the end of this lesson, you'll have a clearer understanding of these ideas and why they are important in today's world. Let's begin. When we talk about gender and sex, many people think they are the same, but they are actually quite different. Sex refers to the biological differences between males and females. These differences include things like chromosomes, hormones, and reproductive organs. For example, males typically have XY chromosomes, and females have X chromosomes. Gender, on the other hand, is about roles, behaviors, and expectations that society assigns to people based on their sex. It is not biologically determined, but is shaped by culture, traditions, and social norms. In many societies, nurturing roles are linked to women, while leadership roles are linked to men. However, these roles can change over time and vary across different cultures. Understanding this distinction helps us see how gender expectations develop and change. Now let's explore the distinction between sex and gender a little further. Sex is something we are born with. It is based on biology. But gender is shaped by society and can be different depending on where you live or what time period you are in. What is considered masculine in one culture may be seen as feminine in another. This brings us to the concept of gender identity. Gender identity is a person's internal sense of who they are. It may or may not match the sex they were assigned at birth. For example, someone who was assigned female at birth may identify as male, both, neither, or somewhere in between. Understanding gender identity helps us respect and support people as they express themselves in ways that feel true to them. To better understand gender, we need to know some key terms. The first term is gender identity. This is how a person sees themselves in terms of gender. It can align with the sex they were assigned at birth, or it can be different. Some people identify as male, female, transgender, non-binary, or genderqueer. Then, we have gender expression. This is how people show their gender, through their clothing, hairstyle, behavior, or voice. Some people express themselves in traditionally masculine or feminine ways, while others mix both. Gender expression is personal and can be influenced by culture, fashion, and individual preferences. Now let's look at some more gender-related terms. The first is cisgender. This refers to people whose gender identity matches their sex assigned at birth. For example, a person assigned female at birth who identifies as a woman is cisgender. Next we have transgender. A transgender person is someone whose gender identity is different from the sex they were assigned at birth. For example, a person assigned male at birth who identifies as female is transgender. There are also people who do not fit into the traditional categories of male and female. These individuals may identify as non-binary or genderqueer. This means they may see themselves as both male and female, neither, or something entirely different. These terms help us understand that gender is not just two fixed categories, but a spectrum of identities. Gender roles are not something we are born with. They are shaped by society. One of the main influences is the family, where children are treated differently based on their perceived gender. For example, boys may be encouraged to play with trucks, while girls are given dolls, reinforcing traditional roles. Schools also play a role in gender socialization. Teachers may unintentionally encourage boys to pursue science and math, while steering girls toward humanities. These early influences shape children's beliefs about what they can and cannot do, reinforcing gender expectations from a young age. Besides families and schools, media also plays a big role in shaping gender roles. Television, movies, and advertisements often portray men and women in stereotypical ways, reinforcing societal expectations. Peer groups further contribute by encouraging behaviors that align with gender norms and discouraging those that do not. For example, boys who show emotions might be teased, while girls who are assertive may be labeled negatively. Cultural and religious norms also define specific roles for men and women, influencing expectations about work, family, and social responsibilities. In some cultures, tasks considered masculine in one society may be viewed as feminine in another, showing how gender roles are shaped by context rather than biology. Gender stereotypes are generalized ideas about how men and women should behave. These stereotypes often limit opportunities and create unnecessary barriers. Women, for instance, are expected to be nurturing, empathetic, and sensitive. They are often assumed to prioritize family over their careers, and are perceived as less competent in science, technology, engineering, and math, STEM fields. Society also places a heavy emphasis on women's appearance, expecting them to maintain a certain level of beauty and grace. These stereotypes restrict personal growth and create additional challenges for women in professional and personal spaces. Just like women, men also face rigid gender stereotypes. They are expected to be assertive, strong, and emotionally reserved. Society assumes men should be natural leaders and providers, which creates pressure to fit into specific roles. Certain jobs, especially those requiring technical or physical skills, are seen as more suitable for men, reinforcing occupational segregation. Additionally, men are discouraged from expressing emotions or engaging in activities that are considered feminine. This can prevent men from fully expressing themselves and seeking emotional support when needed. Gender stereotypes have real consequences on individuals and society. One major issue is the limitation of potential. When people are discouraged from pursuing careers or interests that don't align with societal expectations, they may miss out on opportunities. For example, a woman interested in mechanical engineering might be discouraged because it is considered a male profession. These restrictions limit diversity in many fields and hinder progress. Another impact is on mental health. Strict gender norms can cause stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem. Men may feel pressured to hide their emotions, leading to unresolved mental health struggles, while women may feel guilt for focusing on their careers rather than family. Breaking these stereotypes allows individuals to lead more fulfilling lives. Gender stereotypes do not just shape personal beliefs, they also impact opportunities and relationships. In the workplace, biases in hiring and promotions mean that women are often overlooked for leadership positions because they are perceived as less authoritative. Men can also face discrimination, such as stigma for taking paternity leave, which reinforces the idea that childcare is a woman's responsibility. These stereotypes extend to personal relationships, where women are expected to manage household chores, leading to imbalances and misunderstandings. Over time, these societal expectations shape self-perception, affecting confidence and career choices. If a girl is repeatedly told that boys are better at math, she may internalize that belief and hesitate to pursue a career in STEM. These stereotypes, whether subtle or obvious, limit people's growth and opportunities. Gender identity and gender expression are two separate but related concepts. Gender identity refers to how a person internally understands their gender. It may align with the sex assigned at birth, or it may be different. For instance, someone assigned female at birth might identify as male, non-binary, or another gender identity entirely. Gender identity is deeply personal and can vary from one person to another. It is not something visible to others, but is based on how individuals see themselves and how they feel about their gender. Understanding gender identity is essential to recognizing and respecting diverse experiences. While gender identity is how someone personally experiences their gender, gender expression is how they outwardly present it to the world. This includes choices in clothing, hairstyle, voice, and mannerisms. Society tends to categorize these expressions as masculine, feminine, or androgynous. For example, wearing makeup and dresses is often seen as feminine, while short haircuts and suits are viewed as masculine. However, gender expression does not always match gender identity. A person who identifies as male may choose to express themselves in a way that society sees as feminine, and vice versa. Gender expression is influenced by culture and individual preferences, making it an evolving and fluid aspect of identity. Gender identity and gender expression are connected but not the same. Gender identity is internal. It is how a person understands themselves. Gender expression, on the other hand, is external. It is how they show their gender through appearance and behavior. Sometimes, gender expression aligns with identity, but this is not always the case. A person who identifies as male may express themselves in a traditionally feminine way, and someone who identifies as female may prefer a masculine style. Gender identity is personal and cannot always be seen by others, whereas gender expression is visible and shaped by cultural and societal expectations. Additionally, gender expression is flexible and can change over time, based on individual preferences, cultural norms, and even safety concerns. Recognizing these differences is important for understanding and respecting diverse identities. Language plays a crucial role in shaping our perceptions of gender. Many languages assign gender to words, which can reinforce traditional gender roles. In languages like Spanish and French, nouns are classified as masculine or feminine, which influences how people perceive objects and roles. Occupational titles also contribute to gendered thinking. For instance, using terms like policeman or stewardess implies that certain jobs are meant for a specific gender. Shifting to gender-neutral terms, such as police officer and flight attendant, promotes inclusivity and helps broaden perceptions of who can perform different roles. By being aware of gendered language, we can make conscious choices that encourage equality and reduce stereotypes. Language plays a crucial role in shaping how we perceive gender, and this extends to pronouns, idioms, and media representations. Pronouns are deeply connected to gender identity, and assuming someone's pronouns based on appearance can be invalidating, especially for transgender or non-binary individuals. Encouraging people to share and respect pronouns creates a more inclusive and respectful environment. Additionally, common idioms like man up or throw like a girl carry harmful gender stereotypes, associating strength with masculinity and weakness with femininity. These expressions reinforce outdated ideas about gender abilities. Media and literature also contribute to gender perceptions, often portraying women in terms of their appearance or marital status, which limits how people see female roles in society. Challenging these linguistic habits can help create a more equal and inclusive culture. Patriarchy is a social system where men hold the majority of power in leadership, moral authority, and control over property. This structure places men in dominant roles, while limiting women's opportunities. The term comes from the Greek words patria, meaning father, and arch, meaning rule, which translates to rule of the father. Patriarchy influences laws, traditions, and expectations about gender roles, reinforcing male authority in public and private life. Understanding this system helps us recognize how gender inequalities have been maintained and how they continue to affect people today. Patriarchy influences gender roles in many ways. It creates a division of labor, where men are expected to take on public work and decision-making roles, while women are often confined to domestic duties. This system also controls access to resources, with men historically having greater access to education, jobs, and political opportunities. As a result, economic disparities persist, making it harder for women to achieve independence. Cultural narratives further reinforce this system by positioning men as superior and justifying the subordination of women. These societal norms have been passed down for generations, shaping the way gender roles are perceived and practiced. Recognizing the impact of patriarchy is the first step toward breaking these barriers and achieving gender equality. Gender socialization begins within the family, where children learn societal norms and expectations related to gender. Parents play a key role in this process through parental modeling. From an early age, children observe and imitate their parents' behaviors. If fathers are the sole breadwinners and mothers take care of the home, children internalize these roles as normal. Traditional gender roles modeled by parents influence how children see themselves and their future responsibilities. This early exposure to gender norms has a lasting impact on personal identity, career aspirations, and social behaviors. Families reinforce gender socialization through differential treatment of sons and daughters. Parents may unconsciously encourage boys to engage in sports and leadership activities, while guiding daughters toward nurturing roles, reinforcing traditional gender expectations. These norms extend to toys and activities, where boys are given trucks and action figures, promoting physical and mechanical skills, while girls are given dolls and kitchen sets, emphasizing caregiving and domestic work. These early experiences shape children's understanding of gender roles and influence their choices later in life. Encouraging diverse experiences for all children helps them explore their full potential beyond traditional gender norms. Gender has both biological and social aspects. The biological aspects refer to the physiological and genetic characteristics that define humans as male, female, or intersex. These include chromosomes, where females typically have XX and males have XY, hormone levels such as estrogen and testosterone, and reproductive anatomy. These biological factors play a role in physical development and reproductive functions, but they do not determine a person's gender identity or how they experience gender in society. While biology provides the foundation, gender is largely shaped by social factors. Society defines the roles, behaviors, and expectations that are considered appropriate for men and women. These social aspects vary across cultures and historical periods, showing that gender is not fixed but constantly evolving. Biological and social factors interact, influencing how gender is experienced. While biology defines physical differences, social norms shape how individuals express their gender and how they are treated based on it. This interaction leads to a wide spectrum of gender identities and expressions, highlighting the diversity of human experiences. Gender expectations can have a significant impact on mental health, especially for women. Society often pressures women to conform to beauty standards, be nurturing, and take on submissive roles. These expectations can create stress, anxiety, and low self-esteem, especially when women feel they must meet unrealistic ideals. Additionally, women are often expected to balance both career and family responsibilities, which can result in burnout. The pressure to fulfill these roles while managing personal aspirations can take a toll on their overall mental well-being. Men also face mental health challenges due to gender expectations. They are often expected to be stoic, assertive, and financially successful, which discourages emotional expression. This pressure to suppress emotions can lead to stress, anxiety, and even substance abuse. The societal expectation that men should always be strong and independent can make it difficult for them to seek help, increasing the risk of serious mental health issues, including suicide. Challenging these rigid expectations allows individuals to express themselves freely, promoting better mental well-being and emotional health. Breaking free from gender-based stereotypes benefits everyone, creating a more supportive and inclusive society. Let's begin with a question. What is the primary difference between sex and gender? Your options are: A. Sex is determined by chromosomes, while gender is socially constructed. B. Sex and gender are interchangeable terms. C. Gender is biologically determined, while sex is based on cultural roles. D. Sex is assigned at birth, and gender is fixed for life. Take a moment to think about it. The correct answer is A. Sex is determined by chromosomes, while gender is socially constructed. Checkmark. This means that while biological sex is based on physical attributes like chromosomes and reproductive organs, gender is influenced by societal norms and expectations, which can change over time and across cultures. Here's another question. Which of the following is not a biological characteristic of sex? Your options are: A. Chromosomes, B. Hormone levels, C. Reproductive organs, D. Personal identity. Think about which one does not relate directly to biology. The correct answer is D. Personal identity. Checkmark. While sex is defined by biological characteristics like chromosomes and reproductive organs, personal identity is shaped by personal experiences, social influences, and psychological factors rather than biology. Now let's test your knowledge about gender roles. How are gender roles primarily determined? Your options are: A. By biological differences only. B. By societal norms and cultural expectations. C. By genetics and chromosomal structures. D. By the presence of reproductive organs. Consider what mainly influences these roles. The correct answer is B. By societal norms and cultural expectations. Checkmark. Gender roles are shaped by cultural traditions and social conditioning rather than biology. They differ across societies and change over time. Time for another question. What does the term gender identity refer to? Your options are: A. The external appearance of a person. B. The biological differences between males and females. C. An individual's internal understanding of their own gender. D. The way society expects a person to behave. Take a moment to decide. The correct answer is C. An individual's internal understanding of their own gender. Checkmark. Gender identity is how a person perceives and experiences their gender, which may or may not match the sex they were assigned at birth. Next up, let's discuss gender expression. Which of the following best describes gender expression? Your options are A. How individuals present their gender through behavior and appearance. B. The internal sense of one's own gender. C. The reproductive anatomy of a person. D. The hormonal composition of a person. What do you think? The correct answer is A. How individuals present their gender through behavior and appearance. Checkmark. Gender expression includes choices in clothing, hairstyles, and mannerisms, which may or may not align with societal expectations of masculinity or femininity. Let's move on to the term cisgender. What does it mean to be cisgender? Your options are A. A person whose gender identity matches their sex assigned at birth. B. A person whose gender identity is different from their sex assigned at birth. C. A person who does not identify with any gender. D. A person who identifies as both male and female. Take a moment. The correct answer is A. A person whose gender identity matches their sex assigned at birth. Checkmark. A cisgender person identifies with the gender they were assigned at birth, unlike transgender individuals, whose gender identity differs from their assigned sex. Let's test your understanding of the term transgender. What does transgender mean? Your options are A. A person whose gender identity matches their sex assigned at birth. B. A person whose gender identity differs from their sex assigned at birth. C. A person who does not conform to traditional gender norms. D. A person who has undergone medical transition. Think carefully. The correct answer is B. A person whose gender identity differs from their sex assigned at birth. Checkmark. Transgender individuals may identify as male, female, non-binary, or other identities that do not align with their assigned sex. Now, let's discuss non-binary identity. Which of the following statements best describes a non-binary individual? Your options are A. Someone who identifies strictly as male. B. Someone who identifies strictly as female. C. Someone who identifies outside the traditional male and female categories. D. Someone who does not have a gender identity. Think carefully. The correct answer is C. Someone who identifies outside the traditional male and female categories. Checkmark. Non-binary individuals may experience gender beyond the binary of male and female, and may use different pronouns or expressions. Next, let's explore gender dysphoria. What is gender dysphoria? Your options are A. Satisfaction with one's gender identity. B. Discomfort or distress due to a mismatch between gender identity and sex assigned at birth. C. A biological condition related to reproductive organs. D. A societal rule enforcing gender roles. What do you think? The correct answer is B. Discomfort or distress due to a mismatch between gender identity and sex assigned at birth. Checkmark. Gender dysphoria is a recognized condition that can affect a person's well-being, and support is essential for individuals experiencing it. Finally, let's discuss gender roles. What are gender roles? Your options are A. Biological differences between males and females. B. Societal norms dictating behaviors for men and women. C. Personal career choices. D. Legal definitions of male and female. Think about how gender roles are shaped. The correct answer is B. Societal norms dictating behaviors for men and women. Checkmark. Gender roles are expectations set by society regarding how men and women should behave, and they can change over time. Thank you for participating in this discussion on gender and sex. We hope you found these concepts engaging and insightful. If you enjoyed this session, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more educational content. See you in the next session.